morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Sir Meerkat, and welcome back to the Moto Meerkat channel. How'd you like that new intro that you just seen? I've also got a new outro that's going to be at the end of the video, so make sure you let me know down in the comments how you like them. And also a quick little shout out to a lovely subscriber named Chris. He's actually made a Moto Meerkat Discord server, which you can click the link down below to join right now. In there, you can chat about my channel, my videos, but also more generally like motorsport and gaming and all things like that. So make sure you click the link below and get involved. Well, 3 weeks ago, I released the first episode of my Team Wipe series, where I went through and talked about the history of failed Formula 1 teams and how they eventually slipped away and demised into a mere memory of the sport. But for today's video, I thought I'd talk about a more recent exit from Formula 1, the HISPANIA racing team, or HRT for short. So let's jump straight into it. Unlike Midland F1, who I talked about in the last episode, Campos Meta 1 were a completely new team. It was created by Enrique Rodriguez of Meta Image and Adrian Campos of Campos Racing. Hence the name Campos Meta 1, but I'm not really sure about the 1 though. What does that mean? You may actually recognise the Campos name. They run a Formula 2 team and a Formula 3 team currently. But you probably haven't heard of the Meta Image name, as they're a Madrid-based sports brand, and they actually managed one of the Campos F3 drivers at the time named Bruno Mendes. Campos and Rodriguez began looking at the possibility of creating Spain's first Formula 1 team in February of 2009 and began attracting some shareholders. And on the 12th of June of the same year, Campos Meta 1 were named as one of the 3 new teams entering the 2010 Formula 1 grid. And that was alongside US F1 and Manor Racing, who are 2 teams that I'll surely talk about in the future. And they also announced Bruno Senna as their first driver. But on the 22nd of December 2009, Bernie Ecclestone voices concerns about the team's genuine prospects of entering the 2010 season. In an effort to open up the revenue streams before testing, try and get a bit more money into the team, they were opened up to many potential investors. And one of these being our old friend Tony Texera, who you may remember from the A1 GP video. He plummeted that business into the ground, but he somehow believed, the sneaky devil that he is, that he could propose a buyout for the Formula 1 team before it even started and have it as sort of an arm of the A1 GP series. He was clearly a little bit too big for his boots though, as many of the already established F1 teams blocked that move. And on January the 27th, the team finally admitted that they weren't going to make it to pre-season testing and that they were struggling to find the 7 million euros that they owed Dallara for the cars that they were using. And by February the 19th, it was finally announced that majority shareholder Jose Ramon Carabante would take full control of the team. And he renamed it from Campos Meta 1 to Hispania Racing Team in relation to one of his companies, Grupo Hispania. On the 4th of March, the second driver was finally announced as Karun Chandhok, and the team were ready to go racing. Well, when I say ready, the 2010 car sported a very dark grey livery with sort of white stripes across the side. Not the most eye-catching one, I can't lie. But without any pre-season testing, the first laps completed by the Cosworth-powered HRT F110 were actually in FP1 at Bahrain, with Bruno Senna's time being 11 seconds off the pace. But there we are, that's only one driver. What can Chandhok produce? Well, he didn't even get out at all, because the mechanics could not seem to fix his clutch or his gearbox, so he didn't get any practice whatsoever. And his first laps would be in qualifying. His first ever laps in the car are in qualifying for the first race. That is mental. So obviously the 2 HRT boys locked out the back row, with Chandhok 1.7 seconds slower than his already pitifully slow teammate. And in the race, they didn't fare much better, with Chandhok crashing out on the second lap and Senna retiring due to an overheating engine on lap 18. Some positives did come from the third round in Malaysia, with both cars finishing the race, albeit 3 and 4 laps down for Chandhok and Senna respectively. At the race in Monaco, the HRTs had a fantastic start, leapfrogging both the Virgin and the Caterham cars. Senna later retired, but Chandhok was looking set for a pretty brilliant finish before colliding with Jarno Trulli in a terrifying incident at Rasgas that almost took his head off. But on the eve of the British Grand Prix, HRT announced that Bruno Senna had been dropped in favour of their test driver, Sakon Yamamoto. But then, after the British GP, they brought Senna back in place of Chandhok. What? From then on, it seemed that HRT had quite the appetite for swapping drivers. Yamamoto was dropped for Christian Klien at the Singapore Grand Prix. Admittedly, that was due to food poisoning on Yamamoto's part, but Klien would go on to replace him permanently for the final rounds of the season. In 2020, quite a few years on, Chandok actually told the media that due to a dispute between Campos and Dallara, not a single upgrade was made to the car all year, throughout the entire season. No wonder they were so slow. Hispania finally parted with Dallara in May 2010 due to poor performance. Where have we seen that reason before? Hispania signed a deal with Toyota instead in the summer of 2010 to use their never-raced 2010 car as a base for the 2011 HRT. But in November of the same year, Toyota announced that they had cancelled this agreement because HRT had failed to make payments. Okay, this is getting far too similar to Rich Energy now. In December, there were reports that the team was up for sale, but this was denied by the owners flat out. And these same owners decided to leave the Formula One Teams Association, blaming the organisation's bias towards the bigger teams. But the Secretary General of FOTA had a completely different story. He claimed that HRT had been kicked from the organisation because they had not paid their 2010 membership fee. It was announced on the 6th of January 2011 that Narain Karthikeyan would drive for HRT for the 2011 season, and it took until March of the same year for Vitantonio Liuzzi to be announced as his partner in crime. For this season, the HRT would run the memorably forgettable, horrific checkered flag livery, and they had such little sponsorship that the car would be seen running ads such as "This could be you" on the side pod, "This is a cool spot" on the rear wing end plate, and "Your logo here" on the front wing end plate, attempting to draw in more sponsors, but I feel like they just looked a bit silly. The checkered flag on the car would not help with their racing performance, as both cars failed to qualify under the 107% rule for the opening round in Australia. But in Malaysia, they did a better job, with both cars under the 107% rule and actually within half a second of the slowest Virgin, meaning they were allowed to race. But both cars would end up retiring due to technical problems, obviously. In Canada, they actually had their best scoring positions, with 13th and 14th, putting them ahead of Virgin in the constructors' standings, which I'm sure Mr. Branson wasn't very happy about. And on the 4th of July, it was announced that Thaysun Capital, a Madrid-based investment company, had purchased a controlling stake in the team from owner at the time, Carabante. But Thaysun stated that they had no plans to change the team's name or its operational structure. For the British GP, Karthikeyan was replaced by Red Bull protege Danny Ricciardo. For the Indian Grand Prix, Karthikeyan was re-signed in place of Liuzzi. Why do they keep doing this? And Liuzzi would carry out the season instead of Karthikeyan. On the 21st of November 2011, another driver change was announced for the 2012 season, bringing in Pedro de la Rosa, as he had signed a 2-year contract with the team. And their car, the F112, was set to debut at the second pre-season test. But it would be delayed due to them failing the mandatory crash test. I'm sure the drivers was feeling super safe after they failed that one. And at the Australian Grand Prix, in their new red, white and gold cars, neither De La Rosa or Karthikeyan, who'd been re-signed again, were allowed to race, as they were outside the 107% rule. And by November of 2012, Thaysun Capital announced that they were putting the team up for sale, and the team would need a buyer by November the 30th, as this was the date that fees needed to be paid for the 2013 season. HRT failed to find a buyer in time, causing the team to be omitted from the 2013 grid and entered liquidation soon after. Well, there we have it. There's the story of how HRT ended up being team wiped. They were a little bit dodgy at times, but they were consistently rubbish, often being under the 107% rule completely. But if you did enjoy this episode, be sure to leave a like down below and drop me a little comment. Let me know which team you'd like me to cover in the next episode of my Team Wiped series. Also, click that little red button down below to subscribe to the channel, as I make motorsport content every Tuesday and every Friday that you're not going to want to miss. But thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see all of you meerkats later. Goodbye, guys!